Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Commodity TV and the Precious Metal Summit here in Zurich. And now we want to talk to Discovery Silver, and Forbes Gemmell is here with us. Forbes, great to have you here again.
Excellent to be here as well.
Thanks for taking the time. We spoke the last time, I think it was in spring, if I'm correct. Was it?
April,
exactly. That's spring. Okay, we can deliver that as spring. That's fine. Yeah, so what happened since then? You had some very good achievements, metallurgical-wise, the environmental impact assessment you were starting. So what's going on there?
Sure. Probably three key things as far as milestones and developments. The first would have been submitting our main permit, our environmental impact assessment. So that went in August. So that typically in Mexico will be about a 12 to 24 month process. But at the end of that, we would effectively have our permit for then proceeding into construction. There's a lot of work that went into that, a lot of baseline studies, a lot of third-party consultants, but we feel we're well positioned given the community support and there's no specific environmental sensitivities related to the project to be able to advance that through the permitting process. The second major milestone or I suppose announcement was some additions to the board and management team. As you recall, Tony Makuch came on as full-time CEO in January, and then we announced in August some additions to the board and advisors to the board, as well as also to the management team. And these are long-standing professionals who have worked with Tony in the past, who have an excellent track record in both development and operations.
So mind builders.
Exactly. and then you're right. The third probably key milestone we've delivered is on the metallurgy. So we did some excellent results that came out of our pre-feasibility study test work, but we've continued to improve on that with recoveries moving up with much lower reagent consumption. So that helps lower operating costs. So we'll incorporate those results in our feasibility study, which is on track for first quarter of next year.
Yeah, so that's the real big thing, I would say, for next year, right? The feasibility.
Yeah, hopefully two big things. We'll get the feasibility study, so that's on track for first quarter next year, and then the permit's the other one.
Of course.
It's a bit of a moving timeline. We're thinking best case, maybe we get the permit in the second quarter of next year, and under a mid-case scenario, more towards the end of the year. But yeah, they're the two key milestones for us. And then on the back of that, it's obviously starting to move into construction.
Absolutely. Yeah, exactly. I just wanted to say, let's assume both of those things go positive. Yeah, everything is fine. How long will it take them with the project finance and then really to go into the construction?
Okay, so in the background to moving our way through feasibility and permitting, we are having discussions with all the project finance groups in the meantime, because we want to, on the back of the permits, shortly have that project financing package lined up.
So we make it parallel.
Almost in parallel, but shortly hot on the heels, we should say, of that. And then construction's usually, we're assuming around 2-year construction period. So you could have a scenario where construction would be 2025, 2026, with first metal starting to be poured towards the end of 2026 and early 2027.
Okay, let's stay with 2027. That is fine. Super. Yeah. As you have one of the largest, or even the largest silver reserve and also resource in the world, how does it look like now? I mean, drilling, you must not really drill, right? I think, because how many more do you want to add by now? Yeah, I think to start production is much more important. So how does it look like money-wise? Are you financed until the project finance kicks in? And what other works, let's say, what other work needs to be done still?
So drilling, you're right, is effectively done. We've drilled over 300,000 meters.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Over 900
Must look like Swiss cheese.
Yeah. So we're starting to shift into more the engineering side of things. So in the feasibility study, the engineering would be done to call it a basic level. You can then move on to detailed engineering, where you do a lot of the drawings and the design for the project that's ultimately going to be built. So that'll be the transition on the back of the feasibility study. Right now, we have a bit over 60 million of cash on our balance sheet, and assuming we get the permits sort of second or third quarter of next year, where we have sufficient funding to not only get those permits and move our way through that process, but also get going on the detailed engineering work so that when we do get the permit receipt, we're ready to hit the ground running.
Okay, super. As I saw in your press release also, and you said it already, you need less reagents, you need less material to even have maybe a better recovery. So how do you think, I know it's a little bit too early, we see that on a definitive feasibility study, but how do you think will this impact your production costs? Are we talking about like 5% better, 10% better? What is your feeling?
So look, obviously we're facing some inflationary times right now. So our last study was priced at the end of last year. Ballpark, we'll wait and see, but I'm assuming there's been 10 to 12% inflation since then. So on the processing side, hopefully we'll be able to claw back about 5% of that based on reagent savings. On the mining side, we are looking at going to larger mining equipment, which will come with more economies of scale. So again, we'll hopefully offset some of those inflationary pressures. So yeah, there's some rough quantums of sort of what we're looking at overall. Recall in the pre-feasibility study, we had an all-in sustaining cost of around $12.80 an ounce over the first 12 years of the mine life. So there's very healthy margins at a silver price of 22. And look, it's now that we're through this interest rate rise cycle, I mean, hopefully we're getting closer now to
I think it's
tailwinds
stabilizing
for the precious metals, because that's been a big headwind for obviously a long period of time.
Absolutely.
Too.
Yeah, and I think we are having really a lot of positive support in that sense. We are now in the 5th year of a silver deficit. What is your view on the market? I mean, isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at LBMA in London in the vaults, they went down from 1.4 billion to 700 million ounces now, and everybody thinks that's available. No, it's not, because it belongs to an ETF holder. So what is your view on the market? I think this makes no sense, $21, $22 silver.
Well, I think we're seeing the disconnect between Wall Street, with a lot of the hedge funds and big players betting on the paper price of silver, versus obviously what the physical demand for silver is and what the trading price is of coins and bars. And so look, ultimately though, I think when you look at that supply-demand imbalance, with things like solar still growing through the roof, you've got flat mine supply, and then the potential tailwinds of investment demand, given the amount of debt and where interest rates are. And we saw a couple of false starts in January and April. I think when I was here last, Credit Suisse was having a bit of a tough time of things.
Well, that's done.
That's done now, They had a very tough time of things. So, so that was a bit of a catalyst to start seeing sort of gold and silver move, but then we had some more interest rate rises. I think we're close to the end of that, and so you're going to get the 2 tailwinds, or 3 tailwinds of flat supply plus industrial demand growing plus investment demand potentially coming to the table as well.
Okay. Could you imagine if a solar company would come to you, assume you are in production, and would say, hey, listen, we need 100,000, 200,000 ounces silver per month. Would you do a delivery contract with us? Could you imagine to do stuff like this? Because I think this will be the future. Because we know COMEX is dry.
Yeah. We're seeing that obviously in some other metals, that vertical integration. The challenge in silver is we produce our silver in a precious metals concentrate that then has to go to a refinery.
Yeah, that's right.
And so the refinery produces that end product, and then ultimately that's what's being used for the solar panels. So you've got to somehow bridge that gap between the production of the concentrate and the refined product. And it's something that's sort of worth considering, because that demand is continuing to grow. And I would have thought a lot of the big solar manufacturers would want to make sure security of supply is lined up well into the future. So it's an interesting dynamic, and one to keep an eye on for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think also the e-mobility is something nobody's counting on, because we have between 3 to 4, sometimes 5 ounces silver in a large electric vehicle. Nobody thinks on that.
No, so that's another aspect too. And remember, demand for photography. Silver always used to be the prime industrial demand for silver, and no one's taking those photos anymore. But at least it's plateaued. So that's been a cause of decreasing demand for quite a period of time, but that's now at its bottom. And we're seeing the increase in demand of things like solar and electric vehicles and electronics, because silver is so incredibly ductile and conductive. So those benefits are always going to be in need, especially as we move to a more electronic society.
Yeah, so the future is bright for silver, I would say.
I agree. we're obviously, and look, it's cyclical too. I mean, we're in a market right now where interest rates have gone up. We've had a few tech stocks in the US driving the overall market rally. But we know our industry is cyclical. It has been for hundreds of years. And right now we're in the worst time probably in the last 15, 20 years when you look at the financing environment. So I think if you're able to take a longer term view, now is actually a good time to be taking a look at the space because we know it does turn on the back of that supply-demand fundamentals. So you need to be patient and have a strong stomach as well along the way. But,
maybe from time to time a red wine in the evening.
Exactly, that always helps.
Super. Yeah, and I would say also the future is bright for Discovery Silver.
Look, we feel we've got a fantastic project, one of the top teams going around. And we're in a great part of Mexico. It's one of the big mining states in Chihuahua there, a lot of big operating mines in the area. We're confident we'll move our way through the permitting process, and we've got a fantastic platform to continue to grow the company.
And the right team.
Correct.
Super. Pops, thank you very much.
Wish
you all the best. Merry Christmas.
Cheers.
Thank you. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, there was Forbes Gemmell from Discovery Silver. You heard it. The company is really full steam on path to develop their Cordero project into production. And in the first quarter, we will see the definitive feasibility study. They work parallel on the financing already. And also we will see, hopefully in the second quarter, maybe in the third quarter, we will see. Maybe there's a little bit of a delay for the environmental impact assessment permit. Those are the two major milestones. And then they can go full throttle with the money in the bank and really construct the mine. And by 2027, they should pour their silver, zinc, base metals all together. So it looks really fantastic. It's a monster grade mine, and the market really needs that. And the good thing is you get it on a super sale price today. That is really outstanding, not for us shareholders, not for the guys who are working in the company, but for you as an investor. This is a bargain price, to be honest. My price target in the pointed figure chart is $2.50. So check out the company. Thanks for watching us, and bye-bye from Switzerland.
Thank you.